often what happens here is we get really caught up in our own debates, which are important, but your voices don't get heard enough. We want Bill 40 to be a very persuasive piece of legislation. It'll be persuasive if you have ownership over it. Is that making any sense? Woo! All right. Let me know where the mic is. Looking for our crew. They may be coming here any minute. Okay, I can keep screaming for now. The mic will be here in a second. So, two quick things as we get started. I'm wondering, Allison, you have an opera voice, I know you do.
I do.
All right, come over here. Allison from Bike Toronto played a huge role in this
So since 2008, Cycle Toronto has been a grassroots, member-supported, not-for-profit. We're now a charity. We are here. It's so wonderful, the work that we've all accomplished together. And we're here today to help our provincial act become safer for everyone. And also, part of the things that's really exciting about being an employee and also a volunteer for Cycle Toronto is that we get to work with so many different organizations and people across the city. And helping MPP Joel Harden get his ride to be a success, working with all of our wonderful usual community partners like Friends and Families for Safe Streets, TCAT, who I don't think is here today, Walk Toronto, the Vice Mayor of Toronto, Landmark, not to be confused with our official mayor, Chow. We also have a couple of new groups that have joined our fold. We have Halton Safe Streets. We have Nick from Halton, who's my colleague. And we also have a wonderful organization that I'm thrilled I discovered through a friend of mine on the go, Passion for Parkinson's, and the Rigid Riders, who rode all the way from Mississauga to Toronto. That while we are all vulnerable road users, that it's not just any type of vulnerable road user, that biking, in addition to helping us mentally and physically, it's also a really great way to keep people active regardless of age or ability. So, happy to be here.
Yay! All right, watch this. Here we go. Does it work?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness. There's like a weird reverb thing happening. Is that better? That's much better. All right.
Okay, thank you, Allison. All right, how's everybody doing? So just so people know, can someone tell me what time it is? I've been working off my Garmin for the last 4 days. All right, we're doing good. This is great. Fantastic. So you have an outline of what this is. We're going to give you a bit of a thumbnail sketch of Bill 40 for those who don't know about it. For those who do, apologies for repetition. And then we are going to pass the mic. And it's your opportunity to just step into the middle of this circle and speak what your heart believes to be true about safety in our communities, vulnerable road users, and what people in this building can do to make sure that our communities are safer. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So beginning on a note of gratitude, which one has to do, I want to thank Allison. I want to thank all of you beautiful orange-vested people. Thank you for keeping us safe on the way here. I want to in particular thank the crew I'm very privileged to work with in Ottawa Centre. So Erica, Ethan, Sharon, Ty back home. Thank you very much for helping John and me. John's here somewhere. John and I, there's John. We rode from Ottawa, John and I. So thank you very much for helping us get here. So Bill 40 is not a new bill. Jess Bell, who I think is here somewhere. Not anyway, Jess was the last MPP to introduce this bill into this place. It's been kicking around this building for 10 years. And what it does is specify who vulnerable road users are, and there's 4 categories now. And it tries to say if a driver is responsible, because this is what the evidence is showing us, for critically injuring, or even in some cases, taking someone's life because of a collision, there are consequences for that. Mandatory, what Bill 40 specifies, is a 1-year license suspension. We have a case right now in Ottawa where a 14-year-old has a permanent brain injury from a collision, And the only reason the judge in the sentencing ruling was able to provide a 1-year license suspension was because, as the Justice of the Peace, said in the ruling, the person who caused the accident fled the scene. And in the ruling, and this has happened in ruling after ruling after ruling, and folks here with more experience than me know this, the courts are telling us, the Justice of the Peaces are telling us, we need to make sure there actually are restorative justice principles and consequences. So, Serene Armstrong, that 14-year-old, can't be here from Ottawa today. But she wanted me to tell you that this is the kind of thing she wants to see. She wants that 1-year suspension. She wants a real consequence, not just for her because the driver fled, but because that is something that will be out there. It will remind people that a consequence truly exists. There are 3 further things, and I'll try to make this brief. First, the driver responsible for perpetrating the incident has to have retraining, approved by officially regulated bodies, like the CAA. We can sort out who in regulation, but that's required. The person responsible for the incident also has to, as part of their parole order, perform community service in the domain of road safety. How many people in your neighborhood need more crossing guards near schools and retirement homes? There are lots of ways in which folks could use what I have seen in many cases, considerable remorse and anguish, not in every case, and I'm looking at Just Speaker here, right? But that remorse can be put to work to become better humans behind the wheel. So that community service is important. And last but not least, it will be mandatory if Bill 40 becomes law that someone who caused violence in our street with their vehicle will have to be present at the sentencing hearing personally, not through designate, but personally, to hear the victim impact statement of the person who was hurt, or if sadly they're deceased, their loved ones. In 5 jurisdictions in the United States, these rules have dramatically changed driver behavior for the better. And one of the organizations that contacted me as we've been getting together the promotional work for this was Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And what Matt told me was, Joel, this is where we were a long time ago. But education around intoxication and driving a vehicle has gotten to a point where people are aware, and it's been in the schools, and the words that I heard were keep pushing the public education, keep pushing this issue. So before passing the mic, I want to acknowledge that Bill 40 is not a silver bullet. There's a lot that we can't do because we're opposition members of the legislature, and we can't ask the government to spend money on things like safe, segregated, multi-use paths. If I'm a member of a government one day, and we can push spending to municipalities in that direction, that is precisely what I'd love to be part of. But what Bill 40 does is change the Highway Traffic Act to encourage and impress upon drivers that they have a responsibility to drive safely. What I've also heard from people in Ottawa, Kingston, Brighton, Oshawa, Scarborough, and I expect to hear now, is we all have a responsibility to keep each other safe. I heard a plaintive appeal from a dump truck driver who wanted me to know about the blind spots and how he felt it was weird that on a construction site there's a flag person following him around everywhere to make sure people around the vehicle are safe. At the moment he leaves the construction site, that help isn't there. That help is not there. So what we want to try to do with this bill is bring people together, because there's a lot of people out there who push the agenda of safety who are trying to pit people against each other. We certainly saw it in the last mayoral election in this city. We have seen it in our community in Ottawa. I'm sure it happens everywhere you are. So that is my attempt, and I think we have some flyers looking at members of my team. There we go. So grab a flyer. Erica's got some there. If you want to find a little bit more about the bill, a summary of it is there. Sharon's got some as well. But now I'm passing the mic. Please step into the circle. And as you do, consider one thing. Would you like to be part of the report we are preparing from the safety ride we have done from Ottawa to Toronto? We are hoping, and we've been blessed with wonderful, powerful, in some cases sad and tragic stories that people have shared with us. And we believe this is motivational power to get people in this building to make road safety a priority. Finally, a priority. So if you're in that boat and you say, yes, Joel, I'm down, If it's critical of the legislation, if it's supportive, if you have ideas we don't cover, if you think we're doing something right, we want to hear it all. We want it to be reflected in the report. And if you're willing to put your face and your name to it, thank you in advance. So a facilitation technique I've been using along the way is, who would like to speak second? Any volunteers for who would like to speak second? All right, you'd like to speak second. Would anybody like to kick us off? Now knowing that somebody has already volunteered to speak second. Come on up, please.